So welcome to the room, our old standbys and some new faces. You know, I've read a lot of wonderful books in my life, and a few of them have really impacted me in a really big way. And so after I read those books, I can remember thinking, boy, I'd give anything if I could just sit down for a half hour, 45 minutes with that author and just talk, ask whatever question I ever wanted to ask about what impacted me so much, or just hear what he or she had to say spontaneously. And I never had the opportunity to do that, to sit down, in a small group, in a very intimate setting with somebody like Deepak or Wayne Dyer or any of those people who really impacted my life years ago. So when I wrote a book that some people found interesting, I thought maybe it would be nice if I did what I never could have done for me. Out of that grew this thought that we'll sit down together with 8 or 10 or 12 people on Monday night, whoever shows up, and just chat. The first thing that I've been thinking of the past several days, as I guess many of us have been, I would think, is this business of gratitude. Because Thanksgiving is here, and on Thanksgiving Day, like all of us, I have been focused on the things for which I'm grateful. And I don't know how it is with you in your life, but I do know how it is with me in mine. And I want to say that it was this way before I wrote a best-selling book. Because if I tell you how it is in my life now, you might say, well, of course, because you've written a best-selling book and you've got lots of money and fame and fortune and all that. And it's true, I do have those things, but I felt this way before I had those things. I promise you. Even before I got to this place where I am now, of having written a book, and I guess a few people know about me and whatever, I thought, and I can recall to this day thinking how wonderful my life has been. And not so much because of the things I had, or the good things that happened to me, so much as the very fact that I was alive. To me, just being alive has been really a wonderful gift. Even in the moments when things aren't going well, or when I'm not feeling well, or when stuff isn't coming down the way I thought it would or ought to, I have found life a wonderful adventure and just an extraordinary gift. I sometimes just sit there and think about how wonderful it is to be alive and to even go through, my discomforts, my pains. In fact, I've found a way to enjoy my pain, and that's by being dramatic about it. If I have a pain or something in my body that doesn't feel good, I just fall right into the fullness of that. I never just say, ouch. I usually say, oh, ah. That way it's more fun to experience the moment. If I become angry about something, I become very angry about something. If I'm happy about something, I become very happy about something. If I'm filled with joy like I am at Christmas time, I become like a little child. As my wife is fond of saying, I don't do anything in half measures or in small ways. Everything is very big. The result of that has been that for me, life has been very rich, even when it seems like it's been poor or not giving me what I thought I wanted or ought to have. Even in those times and moments, it's been very rich because I just kind of have really I dive into it. and I swim around in those waters deeply. And I don't know why I'm telling you this now, except that it occurs to me that there might be something in there for all of us to, I don't want to say learn from, but for all of us to reflect upon, perhaps. That the one thing I have done in my life is I never hold back. I don't hold back. I really give all there is to give in every moment. If I'm thinking, I think big. If I'm laughing, I laugh big. If I'm crying, I cry big. If I'm hurting, I hurt big. If I'm giving, I give big. And if I'm taking from life, I take big. And that's something also that I have learned in my life is I'm not afraid to ask anyone for anything. No matter how outrageous the request or how big not the request, or I might even say the demand, if you really can demand anything in life. I've learned in my life that it's okay to ask for what you want. And that even when it's something that others don't necessarily think you ought to be asking for, that they'll forgive you if you at least ask nice. And if you allow them to say no. The trick of asking for what you want is that you have to be really clear that it's okay for the person you're asking to say no. If you ask and you make it not okay for them to say no, then of course there's a problem. And people will resent you for that. But I pretty much give people permission to say no. There are a few things that I would rather they didn't say no to, but that number is getting smaller almost all the time, actually. And now even those who live with me every day are seeing that number shrinking, getting smaller, questions to which I cannot hear no. And that allows the number of questions that I can ask to get larger and larger. As the number of requests to which I can hear no become larger and larger, I can accept no to almost any request, then the number of requests itself can get larger as well. That's what's cool about that. So I've learned to be able to ask for the outrageous and for the highest and for what I want at the highest level. And then I've learned to be able to hear no gracefully. And I'm becoming more okay with no as each year passes. I think that has to do with the number of gray hairs on my head. When I was 25 or 35 or even 45, I really didn't want to hear no from a great many people to a great many things. But now I can hear no and be okay with that, because I've learned that I'll live for another day and that the world isn't going to end, and that I'll probably hear yes to that very same question sometime anyway, so it's okay if it's not right now. I guess that's called delayed gratification. I don't need to have it right here, right now, this instant, except when I do. And it's okay when I do, when I really feel I need to have it right here, right now, whatever that is. I want that lollipop right now, then I do that too. So I guess what I'm really saying here tonight is that I've given myself permission to live my life authentically, to be just exactly who I am, to want exactly what I want, to ask for exactly what I want to ask for, to feel exactly how I'm feeling. And you know, to live life that authentically, I think is, if I could say this and get away with it, I think it's an act of courage. But I think that as you get older, it seems less courageous, because you know you really as you get a little older, you realize that you have nothing to lose. And the sad part about being young is you think you have something to lose. You know, I mean, you might lose a friend, but as you get older, you realize that for every friend you lose, you gain 5 more who will gravitate to you because you're just so darn authentic. And people gravitate to authenticity. And when you're young, you think you're going to lose your money on something or another. And when you're old, you realize that doesn't make any difference either. That even if you did lose it, you would just get it back, and you lose it, and you get it back, and life is a process of not having it, and then having it, and then not having it, then having it, and nothing changes around that. It's just... So, the more of these gray hairs you get on your head, the more you realize that there's much ado about nothing. And you want to say to all the young people around you, relax. It's going to be okay. Just relax. And ease into life.